Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET Now. Now, health insurance. It's something that a lot of people say they don't want to buy because their company provides for it. And while that's a debatable point, I think a lot more people, especially those people who are slightly older, say that they don't want to buy it perhaps because they have what is called pre-existing conditions. They think it's either going to be too costly for them to buy, or in fact those conditions or the illnesses related to those conditions will not be covered. Now, I must admit that I'm also curious about this supposed problem because I've heard that people in the media often end up getting high blood pressure. My guest today is going to hopefully clarify a few things for me. I'm joined by Amit Chhabra, Head of Health Insurance at policybazaar.com. Thanks so much, Amit, for joining me today.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Now, Amit, I do want to start by asking the most basic question, and I think a lot of people wonder this. Perhaps some people don't really understand it because they're hale and hearty and they've never had to deal with it. But what is a pre-existing condition?
So a pre-existing condition essentially means anything that you have before buying a health insurance policy. The most common ones are diabetes, high blood pressure or hypertension. Somebody has high cholesterol, and it's something that's very common, that runs across families. You may have asthma, thyroid. So anything or any disease or any daily medication that you're taking before you buy a health insurance policy is called a pre-existing condition. It is very, very important from the perspective of health insurance because typically, or I'd rather say historically, not all health insurance plans used to cover for pre-existing conditions from day one itself. So there would historically always be plans which have a waiting period for a pre-existing disease. So just to take a simple example, let's say if I have high blood pressure and I am buying a health insurance plan, anything to do with high blood pressure won't be covered in that plan for a certain period of time, and this time period would range from 2 years to 4 years. And people used to really hate these waiting periods because you're buying a health insurance plan, you would want it to cover for the primary problem, right? For me, for example, the primary problem is high blood pressure. But there would obviously be a waiting period because that's how the plans were designed. And that is what is fundamentally changing now because now there are plans which offer day one coverage for pre-existing ailments as well. So again, just building on the same example, if I have high blood pressure, I have an option to buy a plan which always existed where there would be a waiting period of say 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. Alternatively, I also have an option to buy a plan which gets me coverage from day one itself, which I think is a huge transformation from where health insurance used to be because this was a large customer need which was pretty much unmet, and as a result, a lot of people didn't end up buying health insurance. But with these day one cover plans that are coming now, I think it's a huge opportunity or it's almost a relief for a lot of people because now they can buy health insurance and they get covered from day one itself.
Okay, so now that you have this, to me it seems like it's almost too good to be true, right? Because this is something that we've always seen. We've seen pre-existing conditions. If you have high blood pressure, they say, okay, if you have a heart attack later, but we can't cover you. And a lot of times, like you said, you have a waiting period. Is it going to cost people a lot more to get this day one policy?
That is actually the interesting part. Historically, it did used to cost a lot. There were plans, even last year, for example, there were certain plans, but they were about as much as double the price of a normal plan. However, this year we've seen, and I think it's a lot to do with the fact that there is a large demand for these plans driven by the whole coronavirus pandemic. There is a large demand for customers who want coverage and who want immediate coverage. So, and that's why we now have plans. For example, we were seeing in the ticker, the Aditya Birla Activ Health Platinum Health Insurance Plan. This is about 20% costly than a normal health insurance plan, but gives you a day one coverage. So just to give you a simple example, today for a family of two, let's say 35-year-old family of two, a husband and a wife, a normal 5 lakh rupee health insurance plan would cost about 14,000 rupees. Now at about 20% extra premium, you can get a plan which also covers you for day one if you have diabetes or hypertension or asthma or high cholesterol. If you have any of these diseases, by paying only about 20% extra, all of this gets covered from day one itself. Instead, in a normal plan, there would have been a 4-year waiting period. So it is too good to be true, but there's a very simple reason for it. There's a large demand for such plans, and obviously it's a game of scale, right? So because there is this large demand, insurance companies are able to garner scale, and that's why they are able to offer these health insurance plans at very attractive prices to the customers.
Now, Amit, you did give me an example of a family of two, but what if you're talking about a slightly larger family, right? You're talking about a 4-member family, your traditional family size, and you're talking about somebody who has an existing cover, say for somebody who is provided cover by their company, and you're looking to do a top up or a super top up. Would such an option be available in those as well?
So not yet in top-ups, to be very honest. What this option right now is available in base plans, which essentially means that you buy a plan which covers you from the scratch itself, not after a certain amount. So that option is there right now, available for customers to buy. I think in top-ups as well, it will come up at a certain point, but not right now. But I think just to your point, there is a very important point here also to make. A lot of people don't end up buying health insurance because they have a corporate cover. Now, the thing is, I think while it may sound like it may save you some money right now, but the thing is, there are two, three problems with corporate covers. One, typically corporate covers are not enough. It varies from company to company, but typically it will range from 2 lakhs to 3 lakhs to 4 lakhs or maximum 5 lakhs. We don't see a lot of companies offering a very large corporate cover. So in case something bad happens, and that happens all the time, as we see, even something as simple as COVID has been happening to all of us. The coverage amount of 5 lakhs may not be enough, and what might end up happening is that you may end up spending a lot of money from your own pocket, which is something that you want to avoid. The other thing is, in case you contract some serious illness now while you are in your corporate policy, then later on in your life, whenever you leave your job, you go into a setup where there is no insurance or there is less insurance, you will again be stuck because it will be difficult for you at that point of time to get an independent health insurance policy. So the right advice for viewers is to, along with your corporate policy, get an independent health insurance policy, which will cover you throughout your lifetime. You don't want to be dependent on your employer for your health insurance because you may have that relationship with your employer right now. It may change in the future. So always advisable to get an independent health insurance policy and be covered with an adequate sum insured.
So I do want to take this opportunity, in fact, and ask you that, right? What, according to you, is the adequate sum assured? Because that is a question that I think a lot of people ask when you have a coverage. Like you said, 5 lakhs is definitely not enough. And that, I think, is the most common offer that a corporate would give you. And you have the option of topping it up. What, according to you, is the ideal coverage?
See, to be honest, as high as possible as you can buy. I think that's a simple answer, but obviously everyone has a budget. So it completely goes by budget, and it's a function of two, three things. It's a function of which city you are in. So let's say if you're living in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Pune, or any large metro city, and you want to go to the top hospitals whenever there is a need. In those cases, you must look to maximize your sum insured. At least have 10 lakhs per person of sum insured. So if, let's say, again the same example, if you're a family of two, then you should at least look to have a 20 lakh sum insured. However, the interesting part is high sum insured plans have become very, very cheap and affordable now. So again, just building on the same example, for example, for me and my wife, the plan that I have is a 1 crore sum insured plan, and it costs about 18,000 rupees only. So for 18,000 rupees, we have a fairly comprehensive plan, and it gives us a coverage of 1 crore sum insured. Now, 1 crore is pretty much all that you can ever need. Hopefully, is maximum that you will ever need. The highest claim that came in the health insurance ecosystem in the last 1 year was about 75 lakhs. So buying a 1 crore sum insured basically gives you all the comfort and peace of mind that you ever need, and it's not expensive. It costs only about 1,500 rupees a month. So that is what one must aspire for. However, if you can't spend 1,500 rupees per month on health insurance, then look to at least have 10 lakhs per person, because I think that is the bare minimum that one must have, especially in metro cities.
Understood. I think we've had a fantastic conversation, and thank you for that last bit as well. It's cleared my mind, certainly. Amit, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, that was a conversation on health insurance. I hope that it helped you out. It certainly did me, like I said. But do stay tuned. We've got an interesting conversation on the other side of this break that could help you improve the state of your equity portfolios.